Another aspect that I tried to work into this reading the biblical historical books textbook is that I'm aware that the audience I was writing for is at least in part, a young audience. This might be used with college-age students, university-age students. And when I was writing, I actually had my own son in mind, who is a college-age student. And I was trying to think, what is it about what I'm writing that is going to be understandable to him? How might I be able to write about this ancient literature in a way that a 20-year-old today would understand? So one of the things I think that's going to be very helpful in this book is that it uses lots of illustrations that a person perhaps who grew up in a digital age is going to understand. One of the things I start out with early on in the book is comparing a text message that a kid might send to a friend to a biblical story. Now, that's a pretty big leap. That's a leap of 2,500 and more years. And yet there's things that if you understand how a text message works, by comparing it with how a biblical story works, you're actually going to understand the biblical story better. Particularly if what you're used to sending is text messages or putting blogs up or making comments on posts on Facebook. Those are in some ways like ancient history writing, but in many ways they're quite different. So by drawing a contrast with examples that a young person, a university-age student might understand today, I think it's going to be helpful to that type of student to be able to say, oh, well, when I read the biblical story, I'm not actually reading a text message. I'm reading something different. But then there's some things that might be the same, and it just is something that I hope is going to appeal to an audience that grew up in the digital age but needs to read ancient literature for perhaps a course on the history of the Old Testament.